I don't want that open. Okay, so Phineas talked about My Media Site, which is a really robust tool for creating videos, capturing yourself, capturing your screen, and so forth. I want to talk about some other screen capture tools that are outside of the UW system, but that you may find really useful. A couple of free tools, and a couple, and then I'll talk a little bit about Camtasia, which I think a lot of people in the room are already using, and is a very robust tool that's very editable, real flexible, easy to manipulate, and so forth. But first I'm going to go log into YO Courses. And I'm going to pull up a file that talks a little bit about just some best practices for using multimedia. And there we go. All right. I was busy running around trying to find cables and things like that when Phineas first started talking, so I don't know if he actually walked you around this course at all or this group at all. This group is set up for you, and it will become a repository of all the resources that we're using for the 3 bootcamp sessions throughout the summer. So you may want to check in with it periodically. The discussions that Christy talked about for the book discussions will also happen here in the YO group. And what we set up for today's session is a series of modules, and specifically what you might be interested in as we go along. Sorry, this laptop is configured slightly differently than mine, so I'm always the touchpad. I always have these touchpad issues when I'm trying to work with a new laptop. The module that you'll be most interested in today is probably this Get Flipped, Learn to Use Practical Tools. And I'm talking about screen capture, so this is where the resources that are associated with screen capture are posted. So the document that I'm going to open up is this one here called 12 Principles of Multimedia Learning. Now this is sort of a compilation. Don't do that. Okay. You're going to open it up for me? Oh, really? Come on. Arg. I don't want to do this. This is the problem that we have when we use other people's laptops, honestly. No. No, because we're recording on this one. But I need to see if I can find Acrobat. No, I want Acrobat. Says it's installed. Sure. All right. Let's see if that helps. Okay, we're going to try again. Fine. Come on. Christy, Acrobat on this machine. It's installed, but I can't get it to launch. What do you need it for? For this file. So let's just take a picture of it. You can't see anything. You can't see anything. Arg. Okay.
I think somebody closed the session.
Yeah, it did get closed. Yeah, and I opened it back up, but.
Oh, I think it's not on. Oh, yeah, it is. It's right here.
Yeah. Oh,
All right.
okay.
All right. And then what are you trying to do?
I'm just trying to open this file.
Let's just do, can we download it?
Great question.
Where is it? Just go straight to here.
Yeah.
Sorry, what was it?
Present.
Oh, sorry. Oh, yes, sorry. Thank you. Okay. The access is there. It says accept
Yep.
user agreement. I'm good.
Yep.
Okay. Well, how about if we do? Why don't you? Can you go on and then I can figure out what to do with this, or no?
Yeah, I kind of need the laptop anyway. Maybe we'll just. You know what? Let's just skip it.
Skip it.
Yeah.
Okay, skip it.
Let's just skip it.
Okay.
Okay. We're not going to talk about this. Well, we are going to talk about it. But basically, these files are going to be useful resources for you as you're thinking about creating screen captures or multimedia. Some of the sort of best practices include really common sense kinds of things, but things that you'll want to think about. For example, putting graphics and text close together, excluding extraneous graphics and text. Mary Catherine has it open. I've got it. Yeah, no, it's okay. Yeah, you guys can probably open it actually, which is great. Fantastic. Thank you. So we don't need it here. I wanted to highlight just a few of these practices because I think they're particularly useful. Even though, as I said, I think once you think about them, they're pretty, they're pretty much common sense. So, for example, coherence, excluding stuff that you don't need, that isn't absolutely coherent. And this is consistent with principles of web design anyway, right? The way consumers now use information on the web and elsewhere, we expect terseness in a sense, not a lot of extraneous stuff, and we filter out extraneous stuff. Signaling, this is, I think, a principle that is particularly relevant to almost any kind of communication, whether we're communicating orally, we're communicating in writing, or what have you. But just setting your users or your readers' expectations and letting them know what to expect will help them learn better. Spatial and temporal coherence or contiguousness, so that items that are related to each other are presented on the screen close together, but they're also presented temporally close together. So as you're creating videos, you want your text, your graphics, your narration all to happen close together in time and close together visually as well. And segmenting. This is something I think that we tend to overlook when we first start thinking about creating multimedia and video. Often people come and they say, well, I just want to record my whole lecture. And if we think about the way we consume multimedia, few of us will sit in front of a computer for an hour and watch a lecture. So segmenting information becomes really important. Logical chunks of information that can be assimilated fairly easily and can be bound so that your students can consume them and then move on. The other thing that I wanted to just mention, this is something that Christy talks about a lot, and I was really happy to see it confirmed in this document by Richard Mayer, who, now that I've kind of regained my equilibrium, is one of the gurus of multimedia learning. So he's kind of one of the go-to guys. And the question about formality, one of the things I think that I find when I'm creating multimedia is that I often want to make it really clean and pristine and perfect. And what we find, and Merritt confirms that this is true, is that students appreciate a little bit of sloppiness in multimedia, that informality, and that people learn better when the information is delivered in a slightly less formal way, so that they feel that you're kind of speaking to them and interacting with them, as opposed to a really polished script that feels like it's packaged. So anyway, just some good guidelines as you're thinking about creating multimedia. I've included a couple of other links here as well on this page. This link is just kind of a nice walkthrough of creating screen captures. It's a good guideline. It's a little bit more detailed, I think, than probably anybody will really actually need. But it's still a good reference and a good go-to. If you find yourself wanting to just create screen captures, you can't quite remember how to get started, this is a good place to go, again, for sort of a walkthrough. Educause puts out a bunch of nice publications that just kind of pull together some of the most pertinent information about various issues having to do with pedagogy and instructional design. And they tend to do the 7 things you should know. And these are the 7 things about lecture capture. Is a nice, again, real brief, kind of easily consumed resource. And then this document here, the lectures are recorded, so why go to class? This is something I think that an anxiety that a lot of faculty have, right? About, well, if I record my lectures, will anybody come to class? And oh, maybe nobody's going to show up. Most faculty find that people do show up, that students don't really prefer to watch recorded lectures, but that recorded lectures or snippets of lectures are incredibly useful resources for students, because we all know that hearing something once isn't enough, right? And particularly when we're presenting technical information, hearing something once, you want to hear it over and over and over again. But anyway, this article here talks a little bit about that concern and that anxiety, and also about some ways to assure that your students really will come to class. Irina, you had a question.
Yes. I hope it's relevant. I'm concerned about like recording in classes, not so much to say maximum or not, but for liability issues or for privacy issues. Like, I mean, I can record it, I guess, in a way that you just do audio and
You're worried about recording your students.
Exactly.
Right. So if you're actually going to be videoing your students, you do need to get a release from them. Yeah. I find that, certainly for screen capture purposes, we're not thinking about videoing students, but there may be, particularly in a language course, instances in which it's useful to do so.
Sometimes I will have one student sort of remotely taking the class, and the others are in class, and it's just more convenient for me to record the session.
Right.
And it will be like, the camera will be looking at me, if anything, or will be just, screen, but...
And this is just going to be something that's just shared with your students, right?
Right, yeah.
Right. So within a classroom, I don't know that you need to get a release for that, because that would be the same as sitting in the classroom, right? There's nobody else who's going to be there. It's not going out to the public. Yes.
But what if you want to use that video another semester, different students?
Then I would recommend getting a release from your students. Yeah. And just, or not showing them. Right. And you're, excuse me? No. So I pulled together just a few different applications, as I said, that will capture your screen and your voice. Jing and Screencast-O-Matic, which are, I didn't put them in a very good order, did I? both free applications and web-based applications. I guess Jing isn't really web-based. Free applications are provided links here. Jing and Camtasia are both TechSmith products. So they're both made by the same company. And I'm going to just show you. Let's go to the TechSmith website, first of all. If, for example, you may want to download Jing, Jing is as I said, it's a free product, really, really simple, and it's going to allow you to create a screen capture 5 minutes long, what's happening on your computer desktop. That's it. Really straightforward. Many of you got the email yesterday asking you to install Jing. Did anybody install? Great. I'm going to show you how it works, and then when we take a break to do some hands-on, I'm going to encourage you to create a brief screen capture. If you haven't installed Jing, you'll need to install it first before you can use it. Okay, where are you? So, now this little video is super short and super easy. And as I said, your Jing videos will be limited to 5 minutes. And so, all the Jing tutorials are limited to 5 minutes as well. Okay. Oh, for crying out loud. Oops. What's going to happen when you open Jing is you're going to have to log in or create an account. The reason for this is that your videos are automatically stored on their website. Whoops, what are you? I don't want to do that. And then when you open Jing and you log in, you're going to have this little sun that's going to hide up in, by default, the upper right-hand corner of your screen. And that just lets you know that Jing is running. To create a screen capture, you just hover over your little sun, click on the capture. Now I have the option here to capture either a video or just a still, just a picture of what's happening on my computer. But I first have to decide on the area of this desktop that I want to grab or that I want to record. So I just grab those little crosshairs, and then down here I see Jing's menu. So I can capture an image, I can capture a video, or I can fix my selection. I'm going to just quickly, let's see, do I have, yeah. Okay, I'm going to capture a quick little video. That's fine. Okay, and I was just prompted to ask to choose the mic I wanted to use. I just went with the default built-in mic. So now, whatever's happening on my screen desktop is being captured by Jing, as is my voice.
If you want to take a video, say, from some website, and you're not sure it's going to be there when you want it, then you can do this?
You could do this. So you could, well, you might run into some copyright issues videoing somebody else's website, somebody else's video. You would be better served just directing your students to a website that has a video on it than trying to reproduce it. because I think you may have some copyright issues. But you could, you can do a tutorial, so you can show your students, for example, how to navigate through your course website, or how to use a piece of software, or you can capture a narrated PowerPoint, or a variety of things. But I think you would want to really capture here something that you're creating as opposed to something that someone else has created. Once I'm finished, I can simply click finish. And then I'm going to see my menu change a little bit. Now I have these funny little arrows in the bottom right-hand corner that are asking me where I want to save this video. Do I want to save it? I can rename it, and then where do I want to put it? I can put it on the screencast.com. Oops, I didn't want to do that, but I did it. By default, I can also save it to my desktop. And if I save it to my desktop, I can do any number of things with it. I might maybe put it in YouTube if I wanted, if I have a YouTube channel that I use all the time, or I can easily incorporate it in my Wild Courses shell, or I can just email it to my students. My students could also access the link in screencast.com. So it's a super simple tool, super easy to use, and limits you to 5 minutes, which is actually in many cases a really good thing, but not easily editable, okay? And it does require a download to your desktop. Now, Screencast-O-Matic is a tool that we, actually before I finish. Are there questions about that?
If you go over 5 minutes, does it just stop?
It stops. Yeah. Yeah, you've really got 5 minutes. For me, I can barely say my name in 5 minutes. So I have to really, really be very clear about exactly what I want to accomplish. But that's useful in some cases. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. The other tool I want to show you is called Screencast-O-Matic. Let's see, where are we? And the thing that we really like about Screencast-O-Matic is that it used to be that you didn't have to download it to your to a local drive, but now you actually have to download an application to use it. It is, however, web-based, so you can run it on the web. I think because we're short on time, I'm not going to demo Screencast-O-Matic, but just know that it's a tool that's really usable. Slightly fewer limitations than Jing, but a similar kind of configuration and output. I do want to talk a little bit about Camtasia. If you are wanting to create videos that are that you can augment, that you can embellish with various kinds of graphics, for example, or tools, maybe you want to be able to edit them, Camtasia is a great tool. If you teach for Outreach, Outreach has a bunch of licenses. And if you find that you like Camtasia, you can talk to Christy and she can provide you with a license. But you can get, first of all, to play with Camtasia, a free 30-day trial. And it's a great idea. It's download a free 30-day trial. If you think you want to do some screen capture, some videos, and you want to be, you're going to use them quite a bit, start by downloading that free 30-day trial. And you're going to end up with, let's see, I'm assuming the Camtasia is on this machine. No. There we go. Yeah, I know. When we talked about it yesterday, but come on. Are you opening? It's thinking. There we go. Shoot. Oh, Christy. There we go. It's just running. It's just slow, but it is opening. We have an awful lot of stuff open on this machine. Okay.
ask you to apply what you've learned and help you.
I think when you first open Camtasia, it's a little bit intimidating looking, but basically you're going to do something very similar with Camtasia that you do with Jing. So we'll create a new project. It is so slow. Okay. And then you get, when you start your new project, you can select how much of your desktop you want to capture. You can use the camera if you want. And if you use the camera, the built-in camera in your computer, it's going to capture you as well as what's on the screen. This capture ends up in a different track, the capture of you, which means that you can move that. It doesn't end up being smack in the middle of your video when your video is finished. Well, it does. But you can move it, you can size it, you can put it wherever you want it. We find, again, particularly if you're teaching for outreach, if you're teaching online and working with students who actually never see you face-to-face in the classroom, that this is a really nice tool, especially early in the semester when you're creating screen captures for them to be able to see you too. It takes a little getting used to. I hate watching myself, but I just make it little and stick it in the corner, and I don't have to watch it, and my students get to see it, and they like that. Okay? You can click record, and again, you're just gonna get a little countdown. Record whatever's happening on your desktop. Record your voice. Recording the camera that's looking at the window. When you're finished, whoops, you say complete. Oh, go away. Don't want you. Close, there we go. Okay, and there's my recording. Record your voice. Pretty boring. Recording the camera that's looking at the window. Again, a super useful tool for capturing, for using for lectures, for using for tutorials, for talking your students through a variety of different kinds of information. Even if you're teaching in the classroom, providing little screen captures of important, technical, complicated content that they can go back to over and over again is tremendously helpful to them. Right, Catherine?
So the difference between Camtasia and Jing is just that this one allows for video. In addition to your screen, which Jing is just
Couple of differences. That's one of them. Another is that you're not limited by time, because Jing is limited to 5 minutes. You can annotate your Camtasia videos, so you can add all kinds of effects if you wanted to. You can, they're much more easily edited and modified. So I never create a screen capture that I don't go in and edit out my ums or my oops, I didn't really mean to say that. Christy, on the other hand, just creates them. She doesn't have that hang up. But I never can do that. And so I really like using Camtasia because I can go in and I can fix the places where I really feel stupid. But those are a couple of big differences. Both of them you can save in a variety of formats. Jing you can save as an MP4, which you can then embed in your course, or you can save it on the TechSmith screencast.com website where your students can just stream it. I like to embed my videos in my courses so that my students aren't getting sent out to the web all over the place. What I do with my Camtasia videos is I share them to YouTube, which is super simple because YouTube integrates with YO courses really seamlessly. So one of the things that people ask me frequently is, oh gosh, but if I share my stuff to YouTube, isn't everybody gonna see it? And the answer is only if you want everybody to see it. But you have the ability to modify the privacy settings in YouTube, just as any place else or most other places on the web, so that you can control who has access to those videos. And it integrates so beautifully with.
Can you depend on them being there?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Once it's there, it's there. Yeah, absolutely. You can depend on them being there. The other thing is that YouTube is bulletproof. That their format is bulletproof. I have never had a student say to me, I can't get this video to open when it's on YouTube. Right, and they watch cat videos all the time, right? Right, so for a variety of reasons, that's my format of choice. If you save a video as an MP4 and then upload it through the video player in YO courses, which is something we're gonna show you this afternoon, apparently that is also extremely error-proof, but I just find that YouTube is such an easy way to set up my videos. That's my choice.
Can you, if you edit something out because you didn't like the way you said something, can you replace it with a?
You can. You can. The learning curve for Camtasia obviously is quite a bit steeper than it is for Jing. And if you want to start editing things and replacing things, then that's going to take, that will take some learning. But you can definitely do it. I was able to teach myself, and I'm not an AV savvy kind of person. So you can absolutely do it, but it won't be a 5-minute project. It'll take some time to get comfortable with the tool. Yeah, absolutely. Irene.
When you have been recording yourself and the screen.
Mm-hmm.
So my question is, how do you put them together? Is there a way to actually have both in the video you're seeing the screen and on the side?
Yes. Yes. So in this video, for example, this is let's see, where's the myself? Here it is. So this is me in this video. Yeah. So I can do anything I want to with it. I could actually, if I wanted to, I could delete it. I could, halfway through the video, when I figure my students have seen enough of me, I could delete it then. Often what I do with a welcome video at the beginning of the semester is I'll have me front and center, and then I'll shrink me and put me in the corner when I start talking about, I want my students to see something other than my face. Yeah, so you have a lot of flexibility. Mm-hmm. And you don't have to record yourself either. You can record just the screen tap, or the desktop. You can record just the camera. You can record just audio if you want, or you can combine those in any way that you want to combine those. So sometimes, Jeannie, about your question, sometimes I'll say something, I want to replace a bit of my narration, but I don't want to replace what my students are seeing on the screen. I can do that. I can separate those tracks and manipulate each one of them separately. Yeah. Was there another question? A whiteboard? No, because your desktop is your whiteboard. Yeah. Because you can display anything you want to. So your desktop is your whiteboard.
So you have an application that is a whiteboard.
You can move back and forth between windows. Anything that is within the frame that you decided to capture is gonna be captured. So you can navigate around on your computer with Camtasia running exactly as you would navigate around on your computer without Camtasia running. Yeah. Yeah. Now, one of the things we want to talk about a little bit is that when we're creating multimedia we raised some issues and some questions about accessibility, which is a topic that we are all becoming aware of and maybe not so good at responding to yet. So we asked Casey to come from UDSS and talk a little bit about some of the accessibility issues and questions, and maybe some tools that would be useful for facilitating access to your media. Yeah? Now.
I don't have much to say, but maybe I'll just try to raise consciousness a little bit. Because as I watched this, and it just washed over me, my head just was spinning with all the 10,000 different accessibility issues, and how, oh my gosh, how do I make this accessible to everybody who's in my class? I guess just one thing I thought of is if you can have a good reason for using something, if there's a tool that's kind of the mainstream tool within WOW courses or within the university, and that works for most people, and it accomplishes what you need, then use that. But if there's a tool that does that extra thing that you need, then use it, but have that reason for doing it. And why I say that is, I was trying to imagine myself as one of my students when I was watching some of this, and some of my students who get so overwhelmed with new things, and so overwhelmed with, they can figure out how to deal with their courses and the content of the courses, and suddenly they're in a new course that uses a new tool. It can be overwhelming to them. So that's why I say have a good reason for it, instead of just picking the shiniest thing in the room, because it's fun. What else was I going to say? And I guess, a plug for YouTube. Does YouTube, gee, while I wasn't looking, YouTube added some things about captioning and some things about accessibility that I tried it out at the breakfast table this morning, and it's kind of dead dumb simple. They've made adding captions really easier. But it has to be a video that you own. If you can't caption somebody's video out there, you can create a file and send it to them, and that is complicated. But for content that you've created, it's very simple to go through.
Just put captions on so it's printing while you're talking.
Well, oh, you mean like the automatic? Well, YouTube will do that. It's not very accurate. But you can tell YouTube to automatically caption the video. It makes a lot of mistakes.
So what's the alternative?
Well, the alternative is it's like post-production. You've made a video, you post it to YouTube, you go into your video manager, you say, I want to add captions for this. It brings up a little dialog box where, as you go along, you type in what's inside. Well, there's two different ways. You can just go through it and type everything, and then break it up into the chunks where it needs to be displayed. You can do it as you go. So someone says a sentence, you pause the video, you type the sentence. Start it up again, they say another sentence, you type the video, and you work your way down through. It sounds like it's horrible, but it's not that bad. One thing that YouTube does do, and so if you can think about accessibility before, it's always easier to think about accessibility at the front end than the back end. If you can use a transcript for something you're creating, because you can actually upload the transcript to YouTube. Voice recognition has gotten good enough that you can just say, okay, here's the transcript of what was said, here's the video. YouTube Magic will break it up into captions for you pretty well. And then you just have to go in and tweak. Oh, it seems a little off, or they didn't get those words right away. Then there's just a little bit of editing, and then. But otherwise, you either have to translate things yourself, or get a student, get a grad student to do it. I think mine go totally off into the captioning. That's a whole day. But I guess I just wanted to say, be mindful of new things can be overwhelming to students, and they can be overwhelming. Some students won't be able to articulate why it's overwhelming, and the nature of their condition, they don't communicate very well. They may not even know that they have difficulty, and then once they do know they have difficulty, they may not be able to articulate it very well. So suddenly they've got left behind because technology that's presented.
But
And the lecture, sorry.
what Casey's saying is true for all students, and it's good pedagogical practice, and something I think that sometimes we forget. So it's a great reminder that the point isn't to use new tools because they're fun and slick. The point is to figure out what you need to do, what you are trying, what you need to accomplish in your classes, and if there are tools that will facilitate that, then thinking about them judiciously, because all of our students can be overwhelmed by lots of new stuff. They're already dealing with new content, they're already dealing with the environment and other, lots of new issues. And so we do need to be sensitive to the way we use technology. But when it's used judiciously, it can be tremendously helpful to students instead of just complicating their lives.
Here, so, the whole notion of universal design is, rising tide raises all boats. It helps everybody. And caption videos are useful in that they're suddenly searchable. Suddenly, this is a text-based media that anybody can search for a term in the captions, find it for study purposes or whatever. And no one instructor said the word electron in a lecture, and then you can use search tools to find where that was. That helps everybody. I'll throw out an acronym for you called POUR. It's from, a lot of people use it, but there's people over at Utah State, I think, and there's a website called WebAIM, and they talk about web accessibility, and it's POUR stands for perceivable, operable, understandable, and robust. And if you kind of think about doing all those things, so it's perceivable, it's sensory perceivable, or a substitute for a sensory. It's understandable, it's operable, it works. And then it's understandable, it's been written clearly, and then robust is, it works across different kinds of things and platforms and stuff. It's not, well, you can go to the course platform if you're using a Mac that's manufactured after 2009 with Firefox and with this. That's great. A little thing about my media site. I remember when I went to the training from IT, a cool thing that it does, it's got optical character recognition for slides that are captured. I don't know if it does it for the streaming video, but if you tell my media site to go like slide, I think what Phineas was talking about, slide by slide, like every so many seconds it captures an image. The magic behind the curtain that goes on is it does optical character recognition of all that stuff, all those words. And then suddenly the students can search for those words on all the slides. So they know it was the word such and such on a slide somewhere.